externalism. So I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm learning with this because I've heard of these things, but I'd say that it's the first time I've ever heard it in the topic of like God or theistic, like anything like related
Uh-huh.
to theism. So I'd say I'm a little lost because
Sorry, bro.
it's the first time I've ever encountered this. You could say.
So you adapt now.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to.
Uh,
I'm trying
so
to.
will you be
I'd
so
say that
kind
it's
and
yeah.
render the argument in favor
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
proposition that will, in a sense, deny the metaphysical solipsism?
You
yeah.
said
I would say that. Well, okay. So why do you believe in metaphysical solipsism?
Well, it's this thing. Though. I never actually said, well, I do believe. I said, well, I can believe in X. Right. Well, you're actually
Yeah.
asserting that. Well, you're asserting there's going to be an outside world, rather. That's what you're going to be asserting here. Now, I said, well, I can be a metaphysical solipsist, right? So I'm saying that, well, you would like presuppose that there is going to be like an outside world. Well, obviously, presuppose in the
Oh
sense
yeah.
that, well,
Okay.
X
Okay. Now
cannot
I
be
get you.
true. So,
Now I get you what you're saying. So you're saying that what is the reason for why the external world exists the way I'm saying it does, rather than there could be an opposition to it, like that, metaphysical solipsism.
now, he's the
Bro,
render of the argument.
the loud typing going on, bro. Bro's typing a whole essay.
Mm,
My bad, bro.
now continue. So, can you prove the external world exists?
The external world existing. Yeah, I would say that so the idea of the external world, let's just say is so do you believe in the idea of, well, do you think that like our minds in the world are like in conjunction with another, that they're like, I'm not talking about just your beliefs. I'm also just saying the like topic of this.
I
Like
don't.
I would
Well,
also
if I,
like to get your personal beliefs as well, like the one that,
well,
at
it's
least
the
the
thing though.
position
Well,
you're
in a sense,
taking in this debate, so I can at least get like a kind of a correlation to what I'm about to say. It's like
well,
important for the dialect.
uh, I don't think I have to. You should answer this question rather, because like
Well,
I
it's
don't
it's
find the cat
important
answers
for
them.
it's important for how I define it, I'd say,
Well,
or
so
like how
in a
I'm gonna
sense,
prove it.
your argument will be like, contingent upon my answer. I don't even think
It's
that
it,
even makes sense.
it's not really contingent upon your answer. It's more
Well,
like if we can come into some kind of agreement that I could probably like turn it around to like explain it,
no,
because
I mean you can just provide the reason. I don't think.
yeah, okay, I could do that. Okay, so the external world, right? So we do we agree on the definition of what external world is, or do we have a problem with it? Like, obviously, you're saying that there could be an opposition that it exists, like rather than just some like philosophical representation. I'd say that it exists because, like, I'd say the physicality exists. We could touch things, we can look at it. I think we have observation. I'm just gonna say observation.
Well, I don't think that. Well, I don't think that would entail is gonna be an external world. I mean, in a sense, well, if we think about it, everything we experience, like a lot of empirical data, will be like contingent upon like our mental faculties or like all the phenomenal states or like all the things we think of rather. So it just doesn't make sense for you to say that well, it's gonna be an external world rather because I mean, like before we view my examples prior, I mean, you could be manipulated like a whole bunch of things to find like this be case. I mean, everything we're experiencing is gonna be contingent upon these like phenomenal states or these mental faculties, etc. So I don't think this it'd be like kind of ambiguous. Or it could be erroneous, or it doesn't logically follow to be the case that it's gonna be an external world. Like you said, it's gonna be based off our experiences, and our experiences are gonna be derived from the mind. So I don't find the case that because we can touch and feel things, I mean the things that we're touching and feeling can be mind. And I don't see why it has to be some like external world.
All right, all right. Um, yeah, I'd say that well, hmm. I'd say that, well, you're saying that our minds, what about external world? My bad.
Okay,
I was reading.
so I'll just repeat everything rather. So in a sense, when you say, well, these things are gonna be like based off our empirical data, that are our experience.
Yeah.
So you're trying to use some like in the sense you're trying to use some like a posteriori, I'm assuming rather. So I don't think that we can like really hold to come one empirical data can just be like they can be false, erroneous, it can be invalidated. You get the idea. So you have to hold to this. That's not like actually clear
Uh,
justification. Also,
so
top it
so
all off, if you think about it, like all the things that we experience in our mind, they're all like derived from these like mental faculties, etc. I don't see it has to be the case that well, it could be an external world when everything we experience right now is going to be because these faculties.
So you're saying like the mental perception is not enough, or like the perception from our eyes is not enough, is what you're saying? Like the empiricism from our like observation isn't really enough because it could just be a mental thing like from our minds is what you're saying? Like uh
I mean,
okay.
it
Well,
seems to
okay,
be the
I
case
mean
that also it seems to be also seems to be the case that well, you're using your own empirical data to justify it can be an external world, but like everything you're saying right now is also by your own empirical data. So I don't know why it can finally be the case that something can exist outside of the mind or the mental states when everything you're coming to the conclusion with, everything you're thinking of, to find to be the case, can also be derived from the mind and the mental faculties, or these phenomenal states, etc. So I don't
okay.
see why it has to logically fall these external worlds are going to have some kind of properties or exist or in some way.
Okay, so you're saying it could just derive from our mind. This like this world like isn't actually like real, or you're saying that like it isn't actually like external, or like what's the
So he's basically saying that it seems like all you experience is through your mental faculties and your feelings and your touch, and your experience would be going back to your mind. So if it seems like all you're experiencing is through your mind and your mental faculties, like when you have empirical data, when you're observing something, he's saying how could you know something that's outside of your mind or outside of your epistemic access? And it seems like there'd be no metaphysically privileged external world there that would be outside of it. Certainly. So he's saying just because you can observe these things in all these empirics, that's not going to be sufficient enough to conclude that external world exists.
all right? What's gonna okay. If that's what his position, okay. Scribble. So what's gonna be like the problem with the empiricism that our mind could just like be like not a gateway, but like a way of just being able to kind of perceive it. Like obviously, like if we're blind, we
What is
can't
it?
see things. Oh yeah, the external world. And I'm saying that
Uh,
if that these mental faculties in our brain and shit that it could just be a something that just originates from our brain that we're just kind of using our brain to perceive, and like it goes back to our mind. I'd say that that in itself I would say isn't really that what if I think
well,
is just less likely, and I'm gonna explain why. I'd say it's more likely that our brains allow us to use obviously our like eyes to basically look at something that exists. And I'd say that our mind existed before like the not before but after the world already existed prior, so it's not like the world was created through our minds or in our minds, but rather our minds are created like in this world, and and then we're able to then use like obviously those like fucking like things in our eyes that obviously connect to
well,
our
it's
brains and
created
all
in the
that shit.
world. I mean,
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that like our eyes are able to just observe things that already existed, and that it isn't really it is mind dependent for us to see it, but that doesn't really counter it existing.
I don't. Yeah, I don't even think that even is some kind of, in a sense, regardless. Like I said, our perception can also be like false or erroneous or like prone to error. So I don't see like I mean, you can say what we see X that'll be like indicative of some kind of like external world, but that doesn't still actually motivate the view for why it could be an external world. I mean, you say well, it could also be like some like because we can see these things, it can also be implicative of like our mind already existing or it's existing inside this like what's it called in a sense outside world. But that doesn't it doesn't explain it. Like I said, all these things will be down based on perception, right? It's gonna be empirical data, a posteriori, etc.
Yeah.
Right? So which can all be false and erroneous. So when you say, well, why can't this be X? But X is already defeasible in itself. I don't see why it has to be the case that I even have to too much attack this because it can be wrong. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there isn't if you're not gonna listen, think about it like this, right? It's either like it just like likely true or likely false. Rather, you're not stating X is the case. Rather, you're not stating X is not the case. It's just like there's not much for me to attack. It can be false. It already can be prone to error. It's not like it's starting something to be true, rather 100% or something 100% false. It's just not much there that you're motivating your view with. It's
All
all going
right.
to be defeasible reasoning and inferences that can be erroneous.
Well, I don't think
So you
I
would be
don't think
adding more metaphysical commitments
well, I don't
and
really
for
that
like pop.
not not really. I don't think we are actually. I'd say that that doesn't really counter anything I said. Not like in a rude way or anything, but I'm just saying like in itself, I think that I'd say mine is more parsimonious because I'd just say that it's more likely that well we were talking about instincts, we're talking about the mind a lot of the time. and you believe actually, I'd say that in your own belief, it'd be actually even more consistent. This would be the case that the external world actually does exist, because if our minds are able to have instincts, have these sectors, and
Well,
would be made, I actually say it's more likely that for survival, it'd be more likely that these things were made for something outside of it, rather
well, I
than
don't think that it's gonna be more parsimonious because of these reasons. I mean,
it would.
well, I don't think
Because
it
you
would be
already
more
agreed
parsimonious
to the
because I mean,
instincts,
it would,
and
well,
I'd
in a
say
sense,
that
it would
it's
be.
more likely that these things were made for a reason,
Hold
and
on,
I'd
man.
say that Occam's razor would be for something outside of it,
So
for
you'll be
our survival,
positing,
for our
or
survive.
without the conversation, you'll be like trying to posit, articulate more metaphysical commitments, like even like trying to, in a sense,
It's not though.
articulate some kind of
Actually,
I mean,
yours
wait, wait, wait,
actually,
wait, wait.
yours
Actually, no, I wouldn't,
actually
because actually,
does.
no, because metaphysical, well, not really, because metaphysical solid. I can use like off parsimony in a sense. It would just be reducing like the amount of just entities rather. Now, in a
No, you're
sense,
kind of
well,
it's more based in
metaphysical. Wait, wait,
metaphysical
wait, wait.
conditions because you believe that the world
Solipsism, which goes
or
into like, well, it's gonna be one.
mind and
Well, in
our
metaphysical
mind actually
solipsism just
creates
says that
this, and
well, only the mind.
actually everything originates
That's
from
the
the mind.
thing here. So when you say it's gonna be a mind and an external mind, well, you say it's gonna be a mind and an external reality. That would be more metaphysical commitments. Say that's gonna be true. I mean, it's gonna fall under ontological parsimony, which is gonna be like reducing the amount of like metaphysical commitments rather, or into like some into one. Like, no, you get it, like in a sense. So I don't
Yeah,
see
I
why.
understand what you're saying, but I don't agree with that. I'd say that it would even if I said it had these commitments, I just gave more like parsimony to why these commitments exist. And what I mean by parsimony is obviously the like idea of this more favorable option. This option is the fact that that something was created for a reason. That's like I think. Do you agree that things are created for reasons, or do you think that things are just created to be created?
I don't think things inherently have to be created by like it has to be a reason. I mean, you can host this kind of like brute fact rather. I don't think it
Well,
has to be inherently the case.
I'd say that it'd be more likely to be created for a reason. I think that if well obviously if you believe in a god it would be more likely. But obviously maybe our ideas of what the ontology of a god is obviously is different. I believe a god
Well,
is
can you get
infinite.
past like the
Obviously
parsimony part though? Like,
gives a reason
right,
to
right.
things. But
I still want to go past
you
the
obviously
parsimony thing. I mean,
yeah the
the
I just said the
parsimony thing, like I
parsimony
said.
is based on the
Wait,
idea
wait,
of
can I
the
respond?
reason. But we disagree with the fundamental thing from our parsimony, which I said we can go
Well, I
over.
wanted to respond. Like, I second you on
Okay.
ontological parsimony. So, like, you know how you say, well, you say yours is gonna be more parsimony. I don't think it's gonna be more parsimony, right? Because, in a sense, well,
What?
you'll be adding more metaphysical commitments. My fault. I was burping. You'd be adding, my fault. You'd be adding more
Uh,
metaphysical commitments for even trying to articulate or posit some kind of like external world rather than like singular mind. Because like metaphysical solipsism, always that well, it's gonna be one mind. Right? The only thing that exists is your mind. Like, you get it? So, in a sense, that when you say that the mind exists, that you already posited, and you say that well, it's gonna be an external world, you're gonna be adding two things rather instead of this one. So it'd be, it still will be like adding more entities, like use ontological parsimony. It's like, in a sense, mine would be more ontological parsimonious than yours. I don't know. I don't think how yours would be more parsimonious rather. So, I mean, creating reasons for things isn't even relevant in the first place because, like, I mean, that doesn't prove that the external world even exists in the first place. Because, like, I mean, things can be created within the mind. Like I said, like these experiences, like these empirical data, like you know how you said pain, all these other feelings, rather in a sense. So I don't see why has to fall be the case that that's going to be true.
mhm.
Yeah.
Uh. Okay, so I'd say okay. So could you repeat that? My bad. I
Which
wasn't.
one? You want me to repeat everything, or?
Not everything, just the end of it.
Oh well, I said well, creating reasons for things that's not really relevant because I mean that doesn't prove that the external like world exists because I mean things can be created within the mind. Like for example, like I said before, like these all this empirical data that you're being used right now, which can be erroneous and be like, you ever
Right.
heard the Cartesian? I'm not gonna use the Cartesian
I
demon,
understand.
but
I
like
understand now. I understand now. I understand now. I understand now. Okay. So I'd say that I would say that if there's instincts for us to survive, and like obviously, I'd say that why would the brain be created to give instincts to the brain to survive the brain? I'd say that's like just makes no
to
sense. I'd
repeat
say the
that.
brain gives. I just said why would the mind give these like instincts to survive itself?
I
If it
mean that's the
wouldn't it
thing
make
though. Like
more sense to survive something external to it that it needs to survive from,
I
rather
mean for
than
the sense
surviving
like
itself?
that would
Because
presuppose that.
that makes no sense. That makes no
Would that
sense.
presuppose that? Wait, would that presuppose that the brain was created for a specific purpose? And wait, hold on, but like in a sense, that would presuppose that the
So it's
brain
just
was already.
created,
Wait, hold on, hold on,
and
hold on.
that just happened, and that worked.
Let me
That makes no
respond. Let me
bro.
respond. that would presuppose that the
What
brain
is
was
this?
even created for a specific purpose in the first place. I mean, like, can you provide an argument in favor of the proposition for why that's true? Who's
Bro,
on that soundboard?
you're funny, bro.
I understand. Like I said, that would presuppose that the brain was actually created for a specific purpose. I mean, can you provide the argument in favor of the proposition for why that would be true?
Bro, I'm not taking this seriously, bro.
I mean, like, I mean, if you can't
Bro,
motivate the view, then like,
bro, I just don't take. So you actually, like you're being dead ass, like you're not trolling right now.
yes, yeah. What motivate the reasons? I mean, if you're trying to like,
Bro,
I don't want to
bro,
debate. I'm just because you can't like motivate the view.
this
I
is
don't.
like. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like I'm kind of convinced that you're trolling right now. I don't believe that
I'm
you're
not
taking it
trolling.
seriously.
What am I saying that you think is troll? Like,
So you think that that survival instincts were that there's not a reason for why they're created, but they
I
just
didn't say that. No,
exist.
I didn't say
And
anything.
but you just said that I did. Okay, so you just said that you don't believe there has to be this reasons. So you're saying that there doesn't have to be, but you believe there are reasons.
Okay, bro.
So do you believe there's reasons, or do
You
you
want to
believe
conclude, bro? Like,
Sure, sure, sure.
uh, who's